When Princess Charlotte raised a tiny, almost imperceptible hand in the middle of Buckingham Palace, no one could have predicted the moment of crisis it would ignite. But for the royal guard who noticed, that subtle gesture was like a lightning bolt of instinct and responsibility. Pressed against centuries of unbroken protocol, he acted instantly, breaking tradition to protect the young princess. But what could be so urgent, so dangerous, that it forced a seasoned soldier to defy centuries of rules? This is the story behind that extraordinary moment of courage. The heartbeat of Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace has a presence unlike anywhere else in London. Beyond the black iron gates, the city moves in a familiar chaos. Double-decker buses lumber along streets, taxi horns blare impatiently, and a constant murmur of footsteps hums beneath it all. But inside the palace grounds, the world seems to pause. The ancient cobblestones swallow sound, creating a strange, almost unnatural quiet. The cream-colored stone walls glow under the afternoon sun, the light soft yet golden, touching every surface and bathing the scene in a timeless warmth. Tourists pause mid-sentence, captivated, cameras rising instinctively to capture the impossible serenity before them, long before their minds even question why. On this particular afternoon, the sunlight seems especially generous, curling around the gilded crests above the main gates and bouncing off polished brass fittings. It strikes the scarlet tunics of the guards like fire, making them flare brilliantly against the pale stone backdrop. There's a subtle electricity in the air, a feeling that something momentous is about to unfold, as if the palace itself holds its breath. From deep within the main courtyard, the regimental band begins its warm-up. French horns call to one another, their deep, sonorous tones rolling across the square, rising and falling as though the very stones themselves were speaking in music. Tourists press forward at the barriers, their fascination tinged with reverence. Germans snap photo after photo, following every detail on their meticulously planned itineraries. American families fumble between guidebooks and phone screens, seeking the perfect angle, while a group of Japanese visitors stakes out a prime spot, unwilling to budge until the final notes of the ceremony fade into the afternoon. It is more than spectacle. They are participating in a living ritual, a tradition that merges history, precision, and meaning into a single, breathtaking moment. From somewhere beyond the main gates, the rhythmic striking of boot heels echoes sharply against the cobblestones, precise and purposeful, each step layering tension over the crowd's collective anticipation. Phones rise higher, eyes widen, and the air seems to thicken with expectation. Yet not everyone in the crowd is merely observing. Some gazes are measured, trained, and calculating. Among the masses, subtle signals are noted and analyzed, distances measured, and intentions weighed. In a place built for ceremony and tradition, something, perhaps someone, is already noticing what most will never see. Every detail, from the gleam of the tunics to the echo of marching boots, contributes to the palpable anticipation, creating a stage set for events that may be both historic and perilous. Buckingham Palace is alive, but not all who witness its pageantry are merely spectators. Some are alert, watching, waiting, prepared for the moment when the ordinary gives way to the extraordinary. Amid the golden glow of the ceremony, unseen eyes watched quietly, measuring every move. But what systems are in place to keep the event under control, and how are they being managed? Now, let's delve into how Edward Hale is vigilantly overseeing the entire situation. Eyes in the shadows. Among the perfectly still line of guards, Edward Hale stands like a sentinel carved from experience itself. At 31, he carries a weight far beyond his years, the quiet authority of someone who has faced danger and survived. The shadow, cast by his bearskin hat, conceals most of his face, but his eyes, sharp, unblinking, take in everything. They miss nothing. Years spent in Afghanistan, 2 grueling tours through Helmand Province, had honed his instincts to a razor edge, teaching him to read threats hidden in the everyday. Danger, he knows, often wears a casual face. Around him, tourists press forward against the barriers, phones raised, mouths open in awe at the scarlet tunics and polished brass. They see pageantry, precision, and ritual, Hale sees patterns. He notices a man lingering near the edge of the crowd, eyes darting over guard positions rather than the uniforms themselves. A woman walks slowly, scanning the crowd with a practiced gaze, her movements too deliberate to be curiosity. Each deviation from normal behavior is catalogued, filed, and cross-checked in his mind. Small, almost invisible signs, the slight twitch of a shoulder, a finger brushing against the strap of a bag, the rhythm of a footfall, tell him more than 1,000 cameras ever could. A faint ache in his left knee reminds him of shrapnel lodged deep from his final patrol, a quiet, constant reminder that survival is never guaranteed. Many of his fellow soldiers considered ceremonial duty a step back from real danger, a peaceful interlude in comparison to the unpredictability of combat. Hale sees it differently. Threats evolve. They never disappear. Here, in the heart of London, even among the ancient stones of Buckingham Palace, vigilance is survival. His eyes sweep the crowd with precision, cataloging every small movement. Heads tilt, arms shift, shoes scrape lightly against cobblestone, all data points in a living map of the space around him. His body remains motionless, a statue in scarlet, but every nerve, every thought is alive, primed to act. Ceremonial stillness is not weakness, it is control. It is patience honed into a weapon. And now, something stirs his instincts like a warning bell. Two men, blending seamlessly with the crowd, move with a rhythm too controlled to be casual. Their steps, their gestures, the way they orient themselves to the royal section, all of it radiates intent. Hale senses them before he fully sees them, the culmination of training, experience, and instinct screaming in unison. These are not ordinary visitors. They are precise, purposeful. Their presence triggers every alarm his years in combat have ever installed. In that moment, the palace fades around him. The tourists, the music, the ceremony, all become background noise. There is only the threat, and there is only him. Every instinct screams, watch, wait, anticipate. The dance of danger is beginning, and Edward Hale is already in position. In the hushed stillness of the ceremony, Edward Hale senses the approaching chaos. But what sharpens his vigilance even further? Who among the attendees demands his careful watch? Now, let's uncover an intricate display of duty, poise, and unwavering vigilance. The young princess who watches and learns. In the reserved royal section, shielded from the curious eyes of tourists and the flashing cameras, Princess Charlotte stood with the poise of someone far older than her 10 years. Her pale blue coat caught the afternoon light, every crease immaculate, as though pressed by invisible hands that demanded perfection. Her shoes reflected the sun like polished mirrors, and her dark hair was arranged with meticulous care, each strand in place. Hands folded neatly before her, she did not fidget, shift, or betray even the smallest trace of childlike restlessness. Her posture was straight, controlled, her movements deliberate. Charlotte's eyes, wide and unflinching, tracked the guards with a precision that seemed almost unnatural for her age. Every step they took, every turn of their heads, the measured cadence of their boots striking the cobblestones, was absorbed and analyzed. She studied their positioning, the angles of their shoulders, the weight distribution in their stances, and even the subtle adjustments of their weapons. To an untrained eye, she might have appeared simply observant, but anyone familiar with the young princess knew she was learning something far more profound: the rhythm and responsibility of duty, the silent language of service, and the tangible presence of tradition. Beside her, the governess leaned in briefly, smoothing the edge of Charlotte's coat against the cool afternoon breeze. She whispered softly, but Charlotte's acknowledgement was polite and fleeting. Her gaze never wavered. This was not a child at play, nor an audience member absorbing spectacle for amusement. This was a young royal absorbing the mechanics of ceremony, the unspoken rules that governed life within the palace walls, and the gravity that accompanied them. Each motion of the guards became a lesson. Each polished step, each precise turn was a reminder of what it meant to be watched and to be responsible. even at an age when most children were lost in games and imagination. The cameras, out of respect, avoided capturing her, but for those who knew where to look, her presence could not be mistaken. There was a clarity in her eyes, a calmness in her posture, that marked her unmistakably as someone extraordinary. Even from across the courtyard, Guardsman Edward Hale noticed her. Beneath the shadow of his tall bearskin hat, he registered every subtle cue: her watchful gaze, her composed breathing, the disciplined focus that belied her youth. She was not simply standing, she was aware, alert, ready, and in that moment, Charlotte's silent attentiveness carried a weight that would soon become crucial. She was learning more than ceremony. She was learning vigilance. Every detail mattered, and every second counted. What she was seeing, absorbing, and understanding would very soon transcend observation. The calm precision in her eyes and command action before chaos had a chance to unfold. In that quiet, controlled corner of the palace, a 10-year-old princess was quietly preparing to become more than a witness. She was preparing to act. Situations like this demand both confidence and determination. But what truly defines Charlotte's strength? Let us explore the remarkable poise, self-assurance, and inner confidence of Princess Charlotte. The confidence and composure of Princess Charlotte. Charlotte has often been painted by those who know her best as a remarkable young girl, brimming with confidence, charm, and a sense of self that feels far beyond her years. Friends, family members, and close observers of the royal household frequently speak of her with admiration, noting that she carries herself with a poise and assurance that is unusual for someone so young. One source familiar with the inner workings of the palace described Charlotte as a strong character, almost wise beyond her years, highlighting an air of quiet authority in her demeanor. It's not merely that she is confident, it's the way she inhabits her world, fully present and unself-conscious, as though she understands instinctively the expectations around her but refuses to let them define her. There is no hint of pretense or effort in the way she moves, speaks, or engages with those around her. It's truly her personality. It's not forced, notes Amaya Arrieta, a designer renowned in children's fashion. She has observed Charlotte closely. According to Arrieta, Charlotte's comfort with herself and her surroundings is almost magnetic. She can meet the gaze of adults and peers alike with a sense of calm assurance, while also effortlessly displaying warmth and approachability. What sets Charlotte apart, according to those who know her, is the remarkable combination of youthful energy and a kind of early maturity. She understands, in ways that surprise many, that her position carries responsibilities. Yet, she does not appear burdened by them. Instead, she embraces them with a quiet determination. Whether attending public events, interacting with family, or stepping into new experiences, Charlotte seems to navigate each moment with a composure that feels instinctive, as if she innately knows what to do. Arrieta adds, the maturity that comes with that responsibility, she seems to nail it every time. It is not only the poise, but also the clarity of her self-awareness that leaves a lasting impression. She is talkative without being overwhelming, curious without being intrusive, and self-assured without appearing arrogant. These qualities combine to create a presence that is both captivating and reassuring. A young girl who is entirely herself, wholly comfortable in her own skin. Those who witness her in action often leave with the sense that Charlotte is a child who, while still growing, possesses a rare and inspiring balance of courage, composure, and authenticity. Charlotte's quiet strength hints at a royal leader who could shape generations, but strength is never proven in comfort, only under pressure. With unseen threats closing in, her poise and courage will be tested like never before. How will she endure the trial? And what will it reveal about the leader she is meant to become? Let's find out. Shadows among the crowd. Hale's eyes flick toward the two men as they weave through the crowd. At first glance, they could be tourists, ordinary visitors lost in the grandeur of the palace. Soft jackets, simple trousers, cameras swinging lazily at their chests. But something in the rhythm of their movements is off, a subtle choreography that speaks of purpose. Their steps are measured, deliberate, almost silent in their intent. They are scanning, calculating, and communicating without words. Between them, a folded pamphlet changes hands, the edge of it catching a glint of sunlight, revealing scrawled notes that have nothing to do with royal gardens or ancient halls. The taller of the two begins an almost casual approach toward the royal perimeter. Every motion is precise, the shoulders square, the jacket adjusted as though by instinct, elbows tucked, posture perfect. His gaze flickers just enough to measure distance, to anticipate reactions, all while appearing relaxed. Beside him, the shorter man drifts closer to the young governess, his apologies soft and courteous, his voice a smooth whisper designed to disarm. He subtly nudges her, guiding her so that Charlotte is caught between him and the taller figure. The gesture seems benign, even protective, but Hale sees the truth. A hidden blade presses lightly against the child's side, enough to sting, enough to control. Charlotte's serene composure wavers. The polished grace of royalty falters, if only for a fraction of a heartbeat. Her wide eyes betray the tension beneath the elegant poise, a silent warning that she senses danger. The men smile, easy, polite, unthreatening, but Hale knows better. Those smiles mask lethal intent, carefully cultivated to disguise an intricate, well-rehearsed plan. To anyone else, it could be mistaken for a moment of parental guidance, adults shielding a child from the press of the crowd. But Hale sees the trap with the clarity of a hawk. Every gesture, every step is deliberate, calculated, and deadly. Hale feels the familiar surge of instincts honed through endless drills, battles, and confrontations. Every fiber of his being screams to intervene, to strike, to protect. But centuries of duty weigh heavily upon him. Guards do not abandon their posts. Guards do not break formation. Discipline is absolute, unwavering. Honor and tradition are as binding as steel. And yet, as Charlotte's small body shivers beneath the subtle pressure of the knife, Hale realizes that the rules may demand obedience, but his heart and his instincts demand action. For the first time in decades, he faces a choice that could defy everything he has been taught. The moment stretches taut, a silent battlefield of will and instinct. Around him, the crowd remains oblivious, laughter and chatter filling the air, while a sinister plot unfolds in plain sight. Hale's hands twitch, mind racing, calculating the precise moment when tradition and survival will collide. But is Princess Charlotte truly ready for moments that test courage and composure? How have William and Kate shaped her confidence, resilience, and poise? Now, let's delve into how William and Kate balance tradition, independence, and emotional resilience in raising their children. Raising royals with heart and wisdom. Prince William and Kate Middleton have developed a parenting style that skillfully balances the weight of royal tradition with the sensibilities of modern family life. From the outset, they have been careful to honor the time-honored customs and responsibilities that accompany their children's unique positions, ensuring that each child is not only aware of their royal heritage, but also equipped to navigate it with grace and understanding. Yet, despite this deep respect for tradition, the couple has embraced a contemporary approach to raising children, placing a significant focus on emotional well-being, mental health, and personal growth. Both William and Kate have spoken openly about the importance of mental health, emphasizing that emotional intelligence and resilience are just as vital as formal education or ceremonial knowledge. As active patrons of several mental health charities, they use their platform to raise awareness and break down the stigma surrounding emotional struggles. At home, they foster an environment where their children feel safe to share their thoughts and emotions freely, nurturing a sense of trust, love, and open communication. By prioritizing their children's emotional development, the Duke and Duchess aimed to equip them with the tools needed to handle the unique pressures that come with public life, a life constantly observed by the world. In their household, William and Kate encouraged their children to develop independence and critical thinking skills from an early age. While guided by the principles of their royal upbringing, the children are given opportunities to make appropriate decisions on their own, learning through experience how to weigh choices and consequences. This method of fostering autonomy is deliberate. It ensures that when the time comes for them to assume public roles or take on official responsibilities, they are not only prepared, but confident in their ability to act with thoughtfulness and discernment. Equally important to the couple is the cultivation of resilience. By creating a nurturing home where children are allowed to encounter and work through challenges, William and Kate help them build coping mechanisms that will serve them well throughout life. The goal is not to shelter them from difficulties, but to guide them in responding with maturity and poise, instilling a sense of inner strength that complements the outward duties of royalty. Ultimately, William and Kate's approach to parenting is a delicate balance. It honors the grandeur and expectations of monarchy while remaining firmly rooted in empathy, understanding, and genuine care. They strive to raise children who are confident yet compassionate, responsible yet independent, and emotionally grounded, while fully aware of the legacy they inherit. By marrying tradition with modern parenting principles, they offer a model for raising children who can navigate the extraordinary demands of public life without losing sight of their personal well-being and identity. William and Kate have shaped future royals with tradition and compassion, but now Charlotte's strength, training, and instincts face a trial like no other. Will her courage and wisdom be enough to survive? Let's delve into the details. A silent signal, a soldier's resolve. Charlotte's hand moved with practiced subtlety, executing a silent signal she had been taught for moments when words could not be spoken. Palm open, thumb tucked, fingers folded, a tiny, precise plea for help that carried urgency louder than any shout. Hale saw it instantly. The recognition hit him like a physical strike, sharp and sudden. In that fraction of a heartbeat, he understood that tradition, ceremony, and protocol had to give way to duty, raw and immediate. The stillness of the courtyard was shattered. Boots struck cobblestones, sharp, resonant, echoing across the centuries-old stone. Cameras jerked upward. Tourists froze, mouths opening in astonished gasps. The quiet that had draped over the palace for generations dissolved in an instant. Hale moved with lethal purpose. Every step calculated, muscles coiled and precise. His eyes locked on the taller man, the one clutching the hidden knife. "Release her, now!" Hale commanded, his voice slicing through the chaos, carrying authority that no ceremonial title could rival. The assailant hesitated, hands trembling, as he adjusted his grip on the blade. In a single fluid motion, Hale twisted the man's wrist, wrenching the weapon free. The knife clattered to the cobblestones, a metallic punctuation in the sudden violent prose of the moment. Charlotte stumbled back instinctively, shielded by Hale's broad frame, the protective barrier between innocence and danger. The second attacker lunged, desperation in every movement. Hale's response was a sequence honed by years of experience, each strike swift, precise, and uncompromising. Within moments, both men lay incapacitated, writhing and subdued, their plan unraveling in front of the horrified witnesses. Screams and shouts erupted, a chaotic symphony of fear, shock, and disbelief. Phones lifted in trembling hands captured every second, a moment that would be shared, remembered, and dissected for years to come. Security forces converged, their own training snapping into place. Weapons drawn, attackers restrained, the threat neutralized. All the careful preparation, the weeks of surveillance, the maps, the notes and photographs meticulously collected, all undone in a heartbeat by one decisive, fearless act. The crowd slowly began to understand the full weight of what had just occurred. A 10-year-old princess, nearly snatched in broad daylight, had been rescued not by ceremony or royal decree, but by the courage and skill of a soldier willing to act where tradition could not. Eyes widened, whispers spread, and history seemed to bend slightly under the force of what had just happened. Charlotte stood trembling, her small hand brushing against Hale's arm, gratitude and relief in her wide eyes. And though centuries of protocol had been broken in that instant, one truth remained undeniable: courage, speed, and instinct had prevailed where centuries of routine had faltered. A princess's silent cry shattered centuries of protocol, proving that instinct can outweigh tradition. But what reward awaits the guard whose decisive courage changed everything in an instant? And how will the world honor a hero whose bravery was felt but barely seen? Let's uncover the details. A child's gratitude, a soldier's duty. Charlotte lifts her gaze toward Hale, her expression calm, almost serene, as if the storm of fear she had faced moments before had already passed. "You saw me," she says, her voice quiet but firm, carrying the weight of everything she had endured and survived. There is no trembling, no plea, only a child's remarkable steadiness, a clarity of mind beyond her years. Hale meets her eyes and nods, a subtle acknowledgement of her courage and of the decision he had made in that tense instant. Later, when protocols and formalities are dissected in endless reports and meetings, the truth will stand alone and unshakable. He acted to preserve life, placing duty and humanity above ceremony and rigid procedure. From the folds of her small hands, Charlotte presents a gift, a colored pencil drawing, bright and earnest, depicting a lone guardsman sheltering a tiny figure in a vivid blue coat. At the bottom, in her careful handwriting, she has signed, "Thank you for seeing my signal." There is no elaborate flourish, no pomp, just gratitude, sincere and unpretentious. Hale carefully pins it beside medals and photographs of past service, letting it rest there like a quiet testament. Among the symbols of valor and dedication, this small, innocent piece of art carries a truth that medals never could. Courage is sometimes measured not in glory, but in understanding, in the choice to act when others cannot. Weeks pass. The palace remains the same, its walls steeped in tradition, its floors polished to a reflective gleam, every ceremony following centuries of precise choreography. Hale returns to his post, resuming his ceremonial stance with unbroken discipline. The tourists still gather, snapping photos, capturing the grandeur and pageantry for their albums and social media feeds. Yet behind the polished spectacle, a subtle, unspoken connection lingers. When their eyes meet across the distance, a slight touch over the heart, a fleeting, almost imperceptible nod, conveys volumes: mutual respect, trust, and the quiet knowledge that true bravery often defies rules and expectations. Charlotte watches the pageantry with a new understanding. She sees the music of drums, the measured march of guards, the gleaming uniforms, but she also sees the invisible threads that weave courage into every moment. Some heroes never receive applause. Some acts of valor go unnoticed by the crowds, hidden in split-second decisions and silent choices. She understands now that bravery is not always loud or celebrated. It can be careful, deliberate, and entirely unseen, yet no less heroic. And in that quiet comprehension, a lesson takes root in her young heart, that witnessing, recognizing, and honoring courage may sometimes be the greatest act of all. The palace continues its timeless rhythm, but in the space between tradition and duty, a story quietly unfolds, one of vigilance, protection, and the extraordinary understanding that courage, at its highest, belongs to those who act selflessly, even when the world may never notice. So, what do you think about the Royal Guard breaking protocol after Charlotte's signal? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.